Welcome to episode 17 of the Graham Cochrane Show, where I'm here to help you build your online business, work less, and live and give more. I'm your host, Graham Cochrane. Honored to spend some time with you today. Thanks for hanging out with me today. We have got a great episode for you, as I'm going to be diving into how to build a profitable webinar. There are 4 keys. Can I get my fingers right? 4 keys to building a profitable webinar. This is going to be super actionable for you. If you have never sold on a webinar before, or even if you have, but just haven't reached your income goals, there's going to be something in this episode that I think will practically help you out. And we'll dive into a lot of the nitty-gritty about it as well, because there's a wrong way to do webinars and there's a lot of right ways to do webinars. So I'm going to share with you my favorite formula. Before we jump in, quick announcement. Hopefully you have taken part in my 6 Figures and Beyond workshop. This is a free training that's going on this week only. It's a 3-part training. The first 2 are out now, okay? It's all available at grahamcochrane.com/6figures, all spelled out, S-I-X figures. grahamcochrane.com/6figures. What this is a 3-part free training, all designed to help you take your business from where it is currently to crossing over that $100,000 a year mark. Or if you're already at 6 figures, but you're plateaued, how do I get it to multiple 6 figures and beyond? This workshop is intended to help you out. It's absolutely free, but it is a limited time. The 3rd video is coming out this Wednesday. So tomorrow, August 14th, if I got my dates right. And it'll be up just for a few days. Yeah. So you don't want to miss part 3 tomorrow, August 14th, unless it's already August 14th and you're listening to it. That's great. All 3 will be available for a limited time. And this workshop is jam-packed with strategies, tactics, and interactive content that you can work on and apply to your business. Literally, I've got some scripts in there for you. I've got some step-by-step frameworks that you can use to be able to take your business and ramp it up to 6 figures. This is born out of what you have told me, where a lot of you are stuck making $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, or maybe even $60,000 a year, but you would love to get it over that $100,000 a year hump. So the free training is available at grahamcochrane.com/6figures. So go watch those videos before they get pulled down. And really, really special, at the end of this week, this Friday, August 16th, I'm opening the doors to my brand new community, my coaching community for people who want to go to 6 figures and beyond. This is going to be a tight-knit, private group that I'm only opening the doors for a few days on. Tons of details about that coming this week. You'll be able to get all the details over there at the workshop page as well. So I just want to put that on your radar. If you have been looking for coaching, you need help, but you want to be a part of a legit group of people that are encouraging each other and taking their businesses to the next level, you don't want to miss my coaching community that I'm opening the doors to on Friday, the 16th of August. So everything will be there for you at the workshop page. So you can enjoy the free training that's going on for the next few more days. And you can find out details about the coaching community if that's something you are interested in. All of that can be found at grahamcochrane.com/6figures, all spelled out, but it's all for a limited time. So be sure to check it out, get a bunch of free training, and have fun. Okay, let's dive into the content today. I want to talk about webinars. I've gotten a lot of feedback. A lot of you DM'd me about how do you structure your webinars. It's a hot topic. If you get into the information product space or the online business space, webinars have been around for a long time. So I'm going to break down 4 keys to making them not just fun, but profitable. But real quick, let's explain what a webinar is if you're new to this whole thing. You could, let's say, have a online course that you've developed. It could be a weight loss course. It could be a photography course. It could be a calligraphy course. It could be a watercolor course. My wife and daughters took a watercolor course. Whatever it is you want to sell. It could be a membership site you're trying to sell. It could be group coaching that you want to sell. It could be one-on-one coaching that you want to sell. It could be physical products also. But most of us are talking about information products. That's what I'm teaching you how to build. Take your knowledge and your experience and package it and sell it and transform people's lives and make a great living at the same time. Whatever it is you want to sell, you could sell directly through email, which is a great way, and it's really the tool we use to sell directly. But there is a way to ramp up your sales. If you're doing a launch and you've got your launch emails ready to go, or if you just want to do a special, or you just want some more coaching clients, webinars are a way to drive a lot more sales quickly through a live training. So we're more used to, in the last few years, something like Facebook Live or YouTube Live or Insta Live. And those are like a light version of a webinar. Webinars existed before those, but webinars were a way to go live, broadcast your camera or screen share some notes or slides to an audience that shows up, and there's a chat window and they can watch and listen and learn. It's like a live class. And what's powerful about webinars, and the reason why they're so hot, like I've been in the online space for 10 years, and for all 10 years, I've been hearing about webinars. Got to do webinars, more webinars. And there's a reason why people talk about webinars, and it's because they work, they convert. There is something about having people on a live training with you where then you have an opportunity to pitch your product at the end. We'll get to that in a second. That converts better most of the time if done correctly. I know there's a lot of caveats here because the energy is there. It's way more compelling when I'm here with you, learning from you, just getting a ton of value from you. And then you're offering this thing. And I'm like, man, I want this because I'm in the moment and this makes sense, as opposed to maybe just an email or just a Facebook post, which is even worse. So they are a great tool to convert prospects into buyers, and they historically work really well. Now, there are a lot of bad ways to do webinars, and maybe you're someone who has done a webinar before and have not hit your results. Maybe it was a flop for you. If that's you, just want you to know you're not alone. I've been there. I've prepared a whole webinar that made one sale. I was lucky to get that one sale, and that was about $297, and that was all I made. That's deflating. It's better than making nothing, but it's deflating. But you're not alone. Very, very common. And I want to encourage you today by saying, if you'll give it another shot, I can show you a better way that will likely lead to more sales. And if you've never done a webinar, then I'm going to give you an entire framework you can use to build out your first webinar and try to make it not scary for you, because it's easier than ever to pull this off these days. I'm going to explain some of the tools as well, the technical stuff, but it is so critical. The technical stuff is what most people talk about, but the critical thing is how you structure your webinar to get it to actually convert. And that's what I want to share with you today. Does that sound good? Let's dive in. Okay. I'm going to start with the 4 keys. Then afterwards, I'm going to share some bonus tips and talk about technical tools. So don't get upset if I haven't explained the how technically. If you're like, Graham, but I don't understand, what software do I use? Blah, I get it. I'm going to cover some of that in a minute. But let me just get to the mindset, the structure, the strategy of a successful, profitable webinar, so that you understand the what and the why. The how is just some tools, and I'll share with you how to do those things really, really quickly at the end, and that's not going to be as hard as you think. So let's dive into a webinar. Think of a webinar primarily from your audience's perspective. I know you want to sell product. That's the reason you're using it, but I want you to think about it from your audience's perspective. Why would they even attend? Why would they even come to your webinar? Well, for one, I don't like the word webinar personally because I don't know if everyone knows what it means. It sounds like a seminar, only dumber, because it's a webinar, and I don't want to go to a seminar. So I like to think of lingo that's more appealing. A free training, a live workshop. These are all sort of nomenclatures that I've used in the past. Come to my free training next Monday night on X, Y, and Z. I'm hosting a live workshop this Saturday afternoon on X, Y, and Z. That's more exciting because it's live and it's a training and it's a workshop and it's something that I can attend. I get that. And these days, people understand that you can attend things live on the internet and it's not as weird of a thing because we're used to that, okay? So it's a lot easier to position, but you got to start by thinking from their perspective. And it starts, here's key number one. You ready? A profitable webinar needs a great promise. It needs a great promise. Why should I come to your webinar? Okay? If you are, let's say, in the fitness industry and your webinar is going to teach me how to lose weight and get in shape for the summer, don't have a webinar titled Free Training on How to Lose Weight and Get Shape for the Summer. That's boring. Okay? That's not a great promise. It's not even a promise. It's just you'll lose weight and look great for the summer or get in shape for the summer. That's really weak. Give me a specific promise so I know exactly what the webinar is about, what kind of results I can expect to achieve if I come to the webinar, apply what I learn in the webinar, and make it enticing. Because the name of your webinar, which should be your promise, is the only chance you have of getting people to even register. Doesn't matter how good your webinar is or how great your copy is when you get to the sales pitch or how good you are on camera. None of that matters if nobody comes up. Just like email marketing. Nothing matters more in an email than the subject line. Because if it's a bad subject line, no one's going to open it and they're not going to read it and take action on it. So your webinar title needs to be a great promise. And I like specifics, specific result. Here's a formula you can use. How to get a specific result without a specific pain. Okay, very classic formula you can use. For example, I have a webinar that I have used in the past and I've converted to a free training. So it's a little bit different. It's not a live webinar anymore, but I did it live originally, called How to Generate Your First $1,000 a Month of Passive Income in Just 30 Minutes a Day. Okay? That's a variation of the without spending hours and hours a day. Very specific promise. That's the name of the webinar. Okay? I have another one for the recording revolution side of things that is 5 hacks to create a radio-ready song on a budget home studio or without spending thousands of dollars in your home studio. You see, there's the specific promise without the pain or the common fear or whatever the objection would be, right? In the passive income space, if I'm saying I can teach you how to make $1,000 a month in passive income, that's nice, but Graham, I don't have any time. That's why I throw in just 30 minutes a day. So the promise has to be great. So whatever you want to sell, and this is how you backtrack it, whatever you're going to sell on this webinar, the webinar has to be related to that content or that topic, right? So then in the webinar, come up with a great promise, make it simple and focused. You don't need to teach them everything. Your course is going to cover that, or your membership's going to cover that. Or maybe it's going to take tons of courses to cover everything, but your free training should be specific. So come up with a great promise. This is the first place you need to start before you build out anything, is brainstorm what is it that I could do for my niche, my audience that they would love? If I could give them a free training on anything, what would they really want? And this is fun. It could be one concept. It could be one of the videos you've done on your YouTube channel or a blog post did really well that you really want to expand on, or it could be your most popular podcast episode and you realize, man, this topic is juicy. This is what people really want a lot of. How could I turn this into a webinar, especially if you have a course related to that? Because then you could dive into one specific area of that course. So for example, my course, Automatic Income Academy, is a flagship top to bottom, end-to-end system for going from no idea, no business in place to creating an online business that generates passive income that it can be scaled up and replace your day job eventually. It is everything you'd ever need to know about creating an online passive income style business. That's what it is. And so I sold that, and I still sell that in a non-live format using this webinar template under the workshop or webinar title of How to Generate Your First $1,000 a Month of Passive Income in Just 30 Minutes a Day. It's a very specific promise. It's tightly focused, and it's not too big. How to build a business that generates $100,000. It's just overwhelming. But what if we could get you that first $1,000 a month? And what if we could do that in just 30 minutes a day? Tracking with me? Great promise is the start. Don't make it generic, make it specific, and make it bold. Make it bold and then deliver. I like creating a bold promise because then it makes me step up and like, well, how can I help them generate $1,000 a month in just 30 minutes a day? How would you do that? It makes me deliver a better webinar. So that's key number one. Specific, results-based, have a great promise as your title and the thrust and aim of the webinar. Now, that'll get people to register. The title alone should be mouth-watering. You don't even need much of an explanation, but you could. You're going to learn these 3 things, bullet, bullet, bullet. I'm going to reveal these 4 secrets or this multi-step process, whatever. But the title itself should be compelling. Getting people to register is one thing. When they attend, and not everyone's going to attend, okay? If you get half of your people who registered to attend, that's great because it's just the nature of things. Not everybody can make the actual live training. We'll get to replays in a minute. But when people attend and you're actually going live, the second most important key is you have to keep people's attention to the end. Because think about this, your sales pitch is what you're going to pitch at the end. That's the point of a webinar, is eventually offer a product or a service or coaching slots or whatever at the end of the webinar. And if people don't stay to the end, they're not even going to see the pitch. Even if they're liking the content that you're going to get to in a minute, they may not stay to the end unless there's a compelling reason to. So what I like to do is give people an incentive to stay to the end. And this is very simple. When you begin your webinar, you're welcoming people in, you're getting people settled. Once you get going, you're getting through like, hey, here's what we're going to cover. Here's how awesome it's going to be. But very early on, you say, if you stay to the end, I want to give you a gift. And this is where you already have a specific bonus that you've cooked up that you're going to offer them if they stay to the end. This can be a bonus guide. This could be a bonus video. This could be anything you can imagine. I've even done webinars where the bonus, if they stay to the end, are all the slides for the webinar. Like you'll get all these slides, so all the notes you can have and all the details. I'm going to give you a download link for that if you stay to the end as my gift to you for sticking with me to the end. Okay? Very simple. If you have a module from another course you could pull out, or if you have a training you've done, or anything that would be valuable to that audience, it doesn't have to be super in depth, but just something that would be valuable, present it at the beginning as, hey, I've got a gift for you if you stay to the end. And that trains them to say, hey, I want the free thing. I'll at least stay to the end to get the free thing. So you'll get more people hanging with you till the end, which is good for you because they'll see your pitch, which we'll get to in a minute. But it's good for them because then they'll get through all, at least the content portion, which if you do it right, which we're just about to talk about, should be super valuable and it's best for them as well. Great promise. Key number one, got to keep their attention. So offer a bonus if they stay to the end. Okay. Third critical element to a profitable webinar, in my opinion, is this. Actually teach something. Okay. This might sound as obvious as anything, but there is a school of thought in webinars that you don't need to teach. In fact, you're encouraged not to teach. You're just supposed to drop ideas that make people go, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. I need to learn that. And so they just tease, and here's my product. That's how you're actually going to learn how to do this thing that I promised you. So all the quote unquote content portion becomes is a setup to just buy the product. Now, pitching a product at the end of a webinar is not a bad thing. That is not the problem. It's wasting people's time and tricking them into thinking they're coming to an actual training where they're going to learn valuable content when all it is a glorified commercial. Now, there are going to be people who are upset with you because you pitch something at the end, and those people just need to get over themselves. That's ridiculous. I have some people that are like, this was just a giant sales pitch. No, it's not. If you come to any one of my webinars on the Recording Revolution side of things, the Graham Cochrane side of things, it is not a giant commercial. You cannot come and in good conscience say that was just one giant sales pitch. There was a sales pitch at the end, but no, the first 45 to 60 minutes of every webinar I do, sometimes the first 2 hours. I've done a 2.5 hour webinar. It was way too long, I know, but I had 2 hours worth of content. That was ridiculous, but it was dope. It was awesome. It's always real, intentional, helpful, actionable content. This is the secret to making the people who buy more likely to buy, and the people who don't end up buying feel like it was worth their time, is to deliver value. It's not going to be that earth-shattering if you followed me for any length of time. I'm all about every piece of content you put out in the world actually delivering value. It makes selling so much easier. I don't really worry about selling until I've delivered value first. So you've got a great promise. You've promised something for them to stay to the end. Now you actually have to deliver. You actually have to teach them something that actually they could watch, they could ignore your sales pitch or not buy, but go implement what you taught in the content portion and actually get those results. So it has to be good. It has to be some of your best stuff. And if you want to sell more product, you would be smart to give them your best stuff because it only makes you more enticing. It only makes you more appealing. It only shows you've got so much to offer. It only makes them more likely to buy. So I don't want you to think like, oh, just rush this, process. I don't know who you follow. I don't know if you know anything about webinars, but there are literal people out there who are very successful, who are good people, but their worldview when it comes to webinars is keep it light. Just kind of mention 3 concepts, but then just pitch your product. I would rather over-deliver in the content so that they feel really good that they came, even if they didn't buy my thing. People these days, I think, know that there's going to be a pitch on a webinar. And if they don't, and they're surprised, your content should have been so good, they're like, well, he did give me a free training. You don't lie about the free training. You actually deliver the free training, and then you're just tacking on a sales pitch at the end. That's all you're doing. And it might seem nuanced to you. It is night and day. And I've been on webinars that are complete. It's all it is a sales pitch. And I know at the moment I'm on it. And I've been on webinars that are actionable and helpful. And I know a pitch is coming because I'm in this industry, but that doesn't bother me because I actually learned something on the webinar. The best people who sell on webinars are the ones I think that actually teach and give a ton of value. So this might seem obvious to you, but if you've never been on a webinar that's light and teaching, then you just don't know how commonplace it is to just breeze through some concepts and then pitch hard at the end. Okay? So if you want an idea of Timeframe, the first 5 minutes of your webinar are going to be things like welcoming them, explaining real quick what they're going to be learning on the webinar in case they forgot, giving them some suggestions like turn your phone off, don't be distracted, get ready to take notes, mentioning the free thing, the bonus, the gift you want to give them if they stay to the end. All of that stuff is happening the first 5 minutes. Sometimes you're going to sort of like position yourself as in case you don't know who I am. Here's who I am. Here's why basically you should pay attention to me and why I think I have some authority to help you in this space. Here's kind of how I've helped people in the past. And then I also like to throw in a little bit of my story so I can identify with their pain. I was once like you, and I've been following this stuff now, and I've gotten to this result. So it really makes you feel more approachable. And they're like, dude, this person gets me. All of that can happen in the first 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10, depends on how slow you are. But then when you get into the content, I say map out a solid 45 minutes of training, 45 to 60 minutes of training, and you'll be golden. If it's really good, you can do a solid 30 minutes. That's fine. But I feel like 45 minutes is just a great length of time for the actual hard content, which leads me to the fourth and final key is you want to have a natural transition to the pitch. I think this is where people get hung up. I have coaching clients of mine that have done multiple webinars and still they find this the most awkward point where you're ending the teaching portion and you know you're about to drop into the sales pitch and you're getting nervous and you're getting balmy, like sweaty hands, and you're like fanning yourself in your shirt because you're just getting hot because you're afraid to pitch. And I think a couple things here might help you to make it more natural. One, if you've loaded it up with really actionable content in that 45 to 60 minute content block, that can take off a lot of the stress because you feel like I just delivered a ton of value. Whatever I ask them now, I don't have to feel any guilt because you should never feel guilt selling your product because your products better be so good that it would be life-changing and someone should buy it. But you definitely don't need to feel guilty if you just delivered immense value in your webinar. So teaching really, really actionable content helps. 2, have a script. Have a script. If you're not good at just running off of bullets, look, I'm good at running off of bullets. I'm good at just talking on the fly. But even I have scripts. All my webinars, when I get to the sales portion, I have a script. I have my sales copy that I've pulled from my sales page that I've pre-written. I have a script that I transition to, okay? So if you can imagine, I've got my main computer, and we'll get to the technical stuff here in a minute where I'm sharing my slides. I'll get to that in a minute. And I a lot of times have another computer so I can sort of see the chat window in case I'm full screen on my slides. But then I've got either on that same computer another window, or I have my script literally printed out with blocks or horizontal lines so I know when to switch slides for the script. And the script matches the slides I've prepared. And that allows me, when I'm done with the content, to not have to like think on my feet. Because you'll be tired. After an hour of teaching, you're going to be tired. And you want the sales pitch to be thought out and have written good copy. Go back a few episodes and we talked about 3 tips for writing copy that sells. That's so important. So you want to have good copy. So write that when you're in your right mind. That's episode 11. Write that when you're in your right mind, when you're not stressed out and nervous and not live, and then benefit from that good copy when you transition to your pitch. And the way to transition naturally is ask a question. Has this content been helpful so far? Let me know in the chat box. Give people some time because there's always a delay, and see what the responses are. And if there are no responses, then say, I hope it's been helpful. What if I could help you even more with this stuff? Would that be something you'd be interested in? Do you mind if I share with you something that I think will really help you? What a gentlemanly, respectable, simple way to transition to your pitch. Has what I've taught you been helpful so far? If so, would you mind if I shared something super awesome that I think would help you even more in this area? You're literally asking their permission to pitch. It's incredible. Now, no one's going to really say no, and you don't even really need to wait for their response. But if there's a lot of people and the responses come in fast enough, I will. And I'll read real people's names and be like, oh, Margot says yes. And Johnny says sure. And Steven says, I'm pumped. What's next? It makes you feel human because you're just being real polite and saying, hey, has this been helpful? And if so, can I share something super awesome with you that I think you'll really like? And then that gives you time to grab your script and transition to what the next part of your webinar should be scripted out and match your slides. And at this point, I like to transition and say something like, now, you kind of have 2 options when approaching this material. You can either option 1, go it alone, right? Just take what we've learned here and just apply it and roll with it. And I think you're going to get results. But you might have a lot of questions. You might have some insecurities about whether it's going to work. There might be some gaps that you have to be filled. So the option 2 is you could have a guide helping you along the way, getting you results faster. And this is where you're realizing, hey, you can either take what I've taught you and roll with it because it's awesome, or get even more help. And that's where your course, your membership site, your coaching comes into play, your mastermind group, whatever you want to sell, that's where this will become appealing. And then you start to explain option B, and you explain, this is why I created X, Y, and Z. I found that a lot of my students were struggling with X, Y, and Z, and this is why I created ABC product or ABC membership or ABC coaching or whatever. And then at this point, you don't have to really do a lot of the front loading with the copy. You're getting more into what the course is, what it's included, what it will help them accomplish. And so it's more the nitty-gritty type stuff at this point, because the teaching portion was your positioning, and it was a lot of that stuff that normal sales copy needs to have front loaded. You can skip a lot of that now and get into the details of what the product is and walk through that, share testimonials, do all the traditional value stacking, like you're gonna get this, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get this, and here's the price, and here's my guarantee, and here's some of the common questions I get about it, and here's who it's really for. Here, you just all the typical sales copy stuff. And at that point, once you get to the end of the pitch, you say, hey, here's a link to go ahead and purchase. You can purchase it right now, or there's a button below. Click the button below, jump into the course. I'd love to have you there. And I'm going to leave all the details up on the screen. Now, as promised, I want to give you the free gift I promised at the beginning. And that's where you now put on the screen the link to get the free video training, the free guide, the slides that you're promised, whatever you promise at the end, you only show once you've gotten through the whole sales pitch, and you put it up on the same screen as the final price and details and where they can buy the product screen. And there you go. You've done your pitch. It was natural because you asked them, hey, has this been helpful? And would you mind if I shared something extra with you that I think will be super awesome that could help you take this even further? A super polite way you ask them before you pitch. Super natural. You've got your script, so you're not making it up as you go. You transition to your script. And then at the end of the pitch, you leave the details of how they can buy up on the screen, and then you put the free gift up there. Now, let's get into some bonuses real quick here, some tips that make this work really, really well. And then I want to quickly get through some of the tools that I like to use that you can use to do this really, really easily. One bonus tip is to offer a live Q&A at the end. And this is what I love to do is once I've gotten through the pitch is now I over-deliver. I did content, pitch, here's your free gift. Now let's do some more content by leaving everything up on the screen so they can see the details of how to buy and say, hey, for the next few minutes, for the next few minutes, I want to hang out and answer any of your questions about the course, about anything we talked about on the training today, whatever you have questions on. And you leave that up on the screen and you give yourself 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how many people are on the webinar, how many people ask questions, and you just answer their questions from the chat box. And you just add value. You don't pitch. You don't worry about it. It's all on the screen. If they want it, they can get it. Even if they don't ask about the course, if they're just asking about the topic, the things you taught about, just answer those questions. Just be there to add tons of value, because all that does for the people on the fence for buying, as they've been with you for an hour, hour and a half now, they realize again on the back end, you've got so much to offer because you're answering all these questions. You got so much knowledge. You're so helpful. And they're thinking, why don't I just join his course? Why don't I just join her membership? Why do I not take up one of her spots in her coaching group? And it just is another way to help add value and push people over the fence if they're even thinking about buying. And then whenever you feel like the questions are slowing up or you need to go, you wrap it up. Okay, so live Q&A. And if you know you're going to do a live Q&A, you can promise that at the beginning after the free gift. Say, if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you this free gift, explain what it is, why it's awesome, hang with me to the end. And also at the very end of this, I'm going to be opening it up to questions and I'll be answering all your questions. So it's another incentive for them to stay to the end and another value add, because that's a reason why they benefit from coming and being there live. It's not just a video. It was you there live. Second bonus tip. I get this question a lot. Should you offer a replay? What about the people who couldn't come? Should they be able to watch a recording of it? There's differing opinions on this. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's people out there in the industry, guys like Ramit Sethi, who don't offer replays. It's like, if you don't make it, you don't make it. And I can respect that opinion. It's very much a urgency thing. Like, hey, the people that made it are the people that made it. However, I think there's a lot of value to offering replays for a couple of reasons. One, people who truly want to be there, but just genuinely can't make the time zone. Like it's 3 a.m. You know, yes, the hardcore diehards will wake up, but I don't know how many things I would stay up to 3 a.m. for. I don't even know if I would watch my own webinar at 3 a.m. I don't even love myself that much. I value sleep. So I think practically speaking, we have global audiences. To respect time zone issues, I will offer a replay. I don't promise a replay. This is a difference. I don't promise one publicly, because that just makes people not want to attend. I want people to attend live because you get the highest conversions if they come live. But people who register or who email and ask, hey, is there going to be a replay? And I say, only if you register. Then I'll tell them. If you register for the webinar, and I'll explain how to do that in a second, I'll be able to email you a replay afterwards if you can't make it for some reason, but only if you register. So they have to take some action, okay? So time zone issues, I can respect that. That's why replay works. Also, sometimes there's connectivity issues. There's plenty of times I've been on a webinar or I've had students on a webinar where it just cuts out midway through. As awesome as technology is in 2019 and beyond, it's still crappy sometimes. And internet connections still cut out. And that could be really frustrating if you were on the call and then you can't get back in the webinar room for the last 30 minutes and you miss it. That's not your fault. You should be getting a chance to watch the free training. Because again, I want you to benefit from the free training. So connectivity issues. And then 3, it's another chance to sell the next day. So what I typically do is the day after my webinar is I typically email out the recording, and the video recording is on a sales page for my product. So it's at the very top. I offer the replay for a limited time, usually 48 hours. So I say, hey, you got 48 hours to watch the replay if you missed it. You want to watch the whole thing because I offered a free gift for people that attended. So some stuff that you would have missed if you didn't attend. But I just embed the video on a landing page that's a sales page, so that right below it, they can see that, oh, he's pitching a product, and they can just go right to the product if they want, or they can watch the whole webinar recording if they want. But don't be afraid of pitching and putting it on a sales page and just emailing that out to all those who registered. Only to the people who registered, which backs you up to when you're promoting it, say, make sure you register, because I'm not sending this out to anybody. If you want to register, if you want access to this material, you got to register for this webinar, this training. Now, you might be asking, okay, this is a lot, Graham. If you've never done a webinar, you're like, but what tools do I use? How do you pull it off? Can you do this on Facebook Live? Like, what are you talking about? Couple things. One, yes, these days you could do this on a Facebook Live. And you can use Facebook Lives to pitch your products. I'm not saying you can't. What I'm talking about is more of a traditional webinar where it's a private thing. The problem with Facebook Lives, right, is that they typically show up in people's feeds. Unless you're doing a Facebook Live inside of a private Facebook group, everybody can see it and share it. And there's a benefit to that. So I think there's a case to be made for doing it in a Facebook Live. But I think there's also a case to be made for keeping it private, because so much of our content is out there on social media. And what I want to train my people to do is see that there's more behind closed doors. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, there's the podcast, but there is more happening behind Graham's website, in Graham's website. There's a little bit of mystique there. It feels like I'm inviting you to actually something that's more private. With a webinar, in webinar tools, you can actually give people a private sign-up link that can't be shared, that they have to register for to get access to. And I think there's a lot more excitement about attending something that's a private event like that. And I think you get a higher quality of attendee when they register. So I like to use a tool like Kajabi. There's other tools like Webinar Jam and other tools out there, but Kajabi, which is the tool I use for everything. That's why I talk about it all the time. It's where I host my courses, my membership sites. I do all my landing pages and sales pages. I do email marketing through them. I do all kinds of stuff through them. They also allow you to do webinars effortlessly. Literally one click, it can build a webinar for you. And what does this do? It creates the emails that you can send out to people. It creates the opt-in page that you can just send the link to people. Say, hey, join my webinar, this live free training. Where do you send them? It builds the page for you. They can enter their email address and they get a link and they get emails and reminder emails, all pre-written of when it's going down, an hour before, 30 minutes before, the day before, all of that pre-written for you. And then gives them the link to the webinar page, which has a countdown timer. And then the moment you go live, inside that page, it shows up for them. And you can use a free tool like YouTube embedded into your private Kajabi webinar page. You can also use Zoom if you like, but I've done webinars with YouTube Live, and it's all done in your private Kajabi backend. Super effortless. They have a one-click button that does it. You just create the YouTube live post, basically, video, whatever, and it's just unlisted, so it's hidden. And you just copy and paste the code into the Kajabi page, and it'll show up there. So no one's actually going to YouTube. They're just going to your private link you sent them. It's all inside of Kajabi. You can have buttons timed to show up when you mention your course. You can have it linked to your sales page, which is all in Kajabi, linked to whatever you want, and you can track it. You can track how many people attend, how many people come, how many people buy off of that webinar, all done in Kajabi. It's so much easier now than it was when I was trying to use WordPress, Lead Pages, Webinar Jam, and EverWebinar, and Kajabi, and putting them all together. Now Kajabi does webinars. It's effortless. That's the tool I would recommend, especially since I think you should be on Kajabi anyway. If you don't know what Kajabi is, or you want to try it out for free to see if it's a good fit for you, go to grahamcochrane.com/Kajabi, Kajabi, grahamcochrane.com/Kajabi. This is my own private affiliate link. What it does is two things. One, it gives you a 28-day free trial instead of 14 days like they typically offer, so you can get a whole month to use it for free. But it's also the 28-day challenge videos that you get access to, where you get a whole bunch of free training on how to use Kajabi while you're doing it with a free trial, which is so helpful. So you'll get those videos, and you can check it out. You can even run a whole webinar and make some money off of it in that free trial and see if you like it. If you like Kajabi and you want to stick around and you start paying for it, your price is the same whether you bought it through Kajabi or through me. But if you buy through my link, I get a cut, full disclosure, and it supports my business, which is cool. If not, no hard feelings, but at least get the 28-day free trial and get the free training videos, the 28-day challenge. So you can try out Kajabi for your webinar for free over the next 28 days at grahamcochrane.com/Kajabi. Now, you don't need Kajabi. You could kind of just do a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, but you lose all that privacy and you lose the ability to build the landing pages and link directly to your product and have it all timed. But the point is, they're free, easy tools you can use. Now, I've been mentioning slides. I prefer to do webinars with slides. And you can do this with Keynote. If you're on Apple computer and you're on a Mac, Keynote is great. I do everything with it. Or just Google Slides. Or PowerPoint if you're a Microsoft user. But just have slides with text, images, whatever you want, like you would do any kind of presentation, because these tools like Facebook or YouTube Live, Kajabi, wherever you do your webinars, can share your screen. So I go full screen with my slides after I share my screen, and then people can just see what I'm seeing, and I can click through my slide presentation. You can also have your webcam on or off, or turn it on or off periodically, or just be all webcam, whatever you want when you do these webinars. So I build my slides, I write out my sales copy, and then I do it all through Kajabi. Again, if you don't have a product yet, then the webinar isn't the best tool for you yet. There's other ways to use webinars if you don't have a product yet. That's okay. We'll talk about those in a future episode. But this is mostly if you've had a product you want to sell, you've never sold on a webinar, or you've sold on a webinar and it hasn't been profitable, it's probably because you're missing those 4 key areas. A great promise that you actually live up to, keeping their attention through the whole thing to the end by incentivizing them with a free gift to stay to the end after your pitch, actually teaching super amazing content for 45 minutes to an hour, and then having a natural transition to the pitch. Again, ask them, has this been valuable? Would you mind if I shared something super dope with you that I think will really help you take this to the next level? What a natural, simple way to transition into a pitch. If you do these things, you have a better chance of keeping people to the end, converting them, and showing them you have so much value to offer. They would be silly to miss out on this cool opportunity to buy whatever it is you're selling. So run a webinar. Don't be afraid. We learn and get better every time we do webinars, but have those 4 keys. I think you'll do really, really well. Now, again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I don't want you to miss out. I'm doing a free training. This isn't a live webinar, but it is a 3-part workshop that the videos are going up for a little bit. They're up right now. Part 1 and 2 are up. Part 3 comes out tomorrow, August 14th. It's my 6 Figures and Beyond workshop. So much good content. We've already covered the surprising math of 6 figures, 3 different ways to get your business to 6 figures with real examples. And then yesterday's video, we talked about the 64-4 rule. This is a framework I have used to skyrocket revenue in my business. It's so simple, but it's so game-changing. So I want you to watch those two videos. And the third and final video comes out Wednesday, tomorrow, August 14th. And I'll be giving you the 6 figures blueprint. You don't want to miss this step-by-step path to get from where you are to where you want to be with $100,000 a year or more. It's a free training, limited time. And also more details will be coming about my brand new coaching community that's opening up this Friday. So all the details will be there at grahamcochrane.com/6 figures, all spelled out, SIX figures, grahamcochrane.com/6 figures. Come join me, enjoy the training. It's going to help you. I promise. I'm really excited about this content. I love teaching this stuff. And I think it's really going to change the way you think about scaling your business. If you feel stuck, plateaued, or you just have a side gig and you want to ramp it up to full-time, to 6 figures and beyond. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with me. As always, honored to have your ear and excited to hear about how you grow your business through all this free content. And stick around for another amazing episode coming at you next week. Can't wait to share this one with you. I'll see you soon.